Chapter 0001 The Era of Origin Ability. You are listening at FameTV.com. Chapter 0001 The Era of Origin Ability. High School Class 301, a very spacious classroom. Dozens of students were sitting cross-legged, looking similar to monks seeking enlightenment. A thin, indistinct ray of light was revolving around their surroundings. You all are not carefree students. Already entering third year, you only have 1 year before sitting for college entrance examinations. If you fail to enter a university, then it will be your destiny to be the food of those abnormal beasts. The class teacher Yang Ziqing, a more than 40-year-old middle-aged woman, with both hands at her waist, splattered her saliva at those students who were training. I do not care about how you caused any trouble in past and how lazy you are. When you are in my class, you are not allowed to slack off. By the end of this year, I want everyone here to train and improve their origin ability to at least rank 6 or above. If not, I won't allow you to participate in the college entrance examination. You all heard what I said clearly. Yang Ziqing, who did not receive any response from the students, shouted loudly. Yes, we heard. The students replied in unison. Very good. Yang Ziqing nodded in satisfaction. You have all been taught the method to improve origin ability. Once you go back home, you can continue training. In 1 month's time, high school year 3 will be having its first mock exam. Do not shame me. Oh yeah, those who rank top 100 in the whole school would be entitled to join the natural selection class. I am sure you guys are aware of it too. Class now dismissed. Hua, just a moment ago that calm expression of monks instantly changed. Nobody could imagine the students who were diligently into their meditation had now excitedly left the classroom. Yang Ziqing's face turned ashen. She knew that these monkeys were just acting. She could only look at them helplessly. Luckily, there was still a student who stayed behind and seriously practiced. At least, it did give her a trace of comfort. However, it was really unfortunate. His origin ability talent. Down the rostrum, Xuanhuan took a deep breath. Dim light rays slowly gathered around him. He woke up from the meditation. My origin ability had increased by a tiny bit. With this rate, within a month, my ability index should be able to rise till 100. In addition to my body essence and theoretical foundation, my origin ability has the potential to reach rank 4. Xuanhuan stood up and did some stretching while looking outside the window. Outside, his schoolmates were proudly showing off their ability. Some were practicing crushing stone with their fists. Someone was generating fireballs in the woods. There were also some who squat down beside the swimming pool and were producing ice. Even worse, some F***ers were fooling around flying in the sky. This is the era he lived in, the era of origin ability. Year 2030, a calamity swept across the earth. The later generations called this event as the descendants of the origin ability light ray into the Earth's surface. Various origin abilities started to appear, bestowed upon human beings. Some animals even obtained special abilities. The Earth was then thrown into chaos. In the end, all governments from different countries had to make a joint alliance. After 20 years had passed, peace was finally able to be restored and the situation stabilized. The power of the origin ability and its usage had been fully grasped by humans for research, education, agriculture, and other fields. The societal development had improved by leaps and bounds. Many technologies that we were not able to achieve are now possible. Entering the current year 2050, the world has long ago entered the era of origin ability. This is the best era ever. People do not need to worry about clothes and food. High school students are given the chance to integrate their origin ability and master it with all the facilities provided free for them. This is also the worst era ever. The wild wandering animals had all turned into ferocious beasts. They would kill mercilessly. Besides the cities, no other place has such guaranteed safety. For the students in high school, their only goal was to be able to control their origin ability perfectly. To participate in college entrance examination. Enter the best universities. If I want to enter an university, my origin ability needs to reach at least rank 6. Based on my current speed, by the time I sit for the college entrance exam, I might not even reach rank 5. Seems that it is hopeless to enter university after all. Xuanhuan was somehow sad. This era, all those special abilities are mostly for their own survivability and fighting for their own existence. But his origin ability was surprisingly model analyzing, a poor and weak ability. Xuanhuan had calculated before. Even if he trained non-stop and was barely able to qualify into university, what he could use would still be model analyzing. He would most probably end up as a general's advisors, sandboard maker, or becoming an unknown planning architect who worked behind the scenes. Yes, he could still live on with such a life, but which young boy does not have any blood-boiling dreams? Slaying abnormal beasts, protecting the earth. Just mentioning that would make any youngster fired up. Too bad, a dream would still remain a dream. The origin ability rank was greatly related with one's talent. If one has a weak talent of the origin ability, then he was doomed to have low rank. According to the latest global evaluation, the final value of original ability was calculated by summing up the value of theoretical foundation, physical fitness, fighting skill and also ability index before being divided by 100. One of them, Theoretical Foundation, is a basic theory course which includes all the information regarding origin ability, fearful beasts, combat methods, overcoming weakness and even all those herbs growing on Earth. In short, all the knowledge of this world. The difficulties were so high that it raised people's ire. The upper limit of this course is 200 points. In general, any student who can obtain 100 points out of it is considered great. Physical fitness, which represented the strength of the body, has an upper limit of 400 points. In human limit, the average points scored by a high school student would be around 100. Combat methods, comprising of current combat skills and martial arts, has the upper limit of 400. However, for an average student, the score would be around 0 to 5. The last and also the most important is ability index. Ability index together with talent rank are obviously closely related to origin ability. Though the calculation is very complex, if the talent rank is much higher, from F to A, the difference of ability index would be even greater. The upper limit is limitless. Because of Xuanhuan's ability, a grade E model analyzing pulled down the overall score line. He scored 180 points in theoretical foundation, 100 points in physical fitness, 0 point in combat method and lastly 100 points in ability index, which in total 380 points. That would made his origin ability had a value of 3.8, soon to reach 4. Xuanhuan silently counted in his heart, his hands were cleaning up his stuff while preparing to leave the school. However, at this moment, a loud door sound could be heard. The classroom's door had been destroyed with a kick. Xuanhuan, come out and meet this father of yours. A handsome and tall student stood at the door. What is happening? Xuanhuan did not go out. He is no fool. This student was called Sun Yaotian, a genius character. His origin ability value was above 8 point something. Thus, it was not worth mentioning that he could casually crush Xuanhuan at any moment. Yu and Xuanhuan went back home together yet again. Sun Yaotian snorted. Xuanhuan frowned. We are in same direction. After school, we would occasionally walk home together. I do not care whether both you heading to the same direction or not. In a single breath, Sun Yaotian interrupted him. Xuanhuan's ability is what, I believe you must be clear about it. With your qualification, you do not deserve even a look of her. Next time get far away from her. If not, I will crush you whenever I see you. Su Yaotian, you. Xuanhuan got furious, clenching his fist tight. What, you want to fight? Sun Yaotian sneered at him, the school rules state that no fight is allowed in the classroom. If you dare, walk out from this classroom then. Xuanhuan's face became ashen. The anger in his heart was going to erupt, but he immediately compressed it back. With his value of 3.8, his origin ability against Sun Yaotian, it was like throwing an egg onto stone. Most probably, with a hit, Sun Yaotian would smack him dead. The classroom is indeed a place that forbids fighting, but if he was the one who started the fight with Sun Yaotian, Then it would be an entirely different story. Chicken-hearted, looking at him not giving any reaction, Sun Yaotian sneered and left the classroom. Remember my words. This is the last warning. Sun Yaotian. Su Hao was filled with boiling anger. He was more hardworking than anyone else. However, he could only manage to lurk around at the bottom level. It was just because of that damn talent. His theoretical foundation score of 180 points make me one of the top 10 in the school, but his ability index was just 80 points. As for Sun Yaotian, just his ability index alone scored him a whopping 500 points. This was because Sun Yaotian's ability is an A-rank, metal control. It was a master-level fighting ability which combines both offensive and defensive, thus improving the overall combat effectiveness. As compared to his nuisance model analyzing, the gap was too huge. One day, I will definitely exceed you. A raging anger could be seen on Su Hao's eyes. He turned around and left the classroom. His mindset was very simple. Talent does not necessarily beat hard work. So what if his origin ability is low-leveled? Since he won't score well in talent index, as long as he could score the remaining 1000 points in other elements, he would be fine. Scoring 200 points in theoretical foundation, 400 in combat technique and another 400 in physical fitness. Once the points are in his grasp, he would still end up with origin ability of value 10 and be powerful. Su Hao clenched his teeth. Leaving the school's compound, he went straight back home. There was a never-ending flow of humans in the main street. Pudong. 1. A person quickly flashed through Su Hao's body. Only the afterimage could be seen, the speed was so fast that it left goosebumps. Su Hao, who was grazed, was immediately startled. The moment he was checking some information on his phone, the graze a moment ago caused his phone to drop into the man's bag. Su Hao was stunned momentarily and had a delayed reaction and thief. He could only see a shadow flash. A middle-aged man rushing to the other direction. With that, Su Hao immediately understood. FML, he is really a thief and it seems that I am not the only victim. At this street, the number of thieves were not small. Even worse, most of them relied on their high-speed ability. Snatching an item and instantly running off. This tactic made most people unable to react in time. Too bad, this time Su Hao became the victim. Su Hao's anger was at the very end of the bay, with the treat from Sun Yaotian. Yet now, the moment he reached the street, he immediately had his phone snatched by a thief. Pang! Su Hao gave out a punch and immediately destroyed the protection of a nearby flying motorcycle. He immediately jumped on it to give chase to the thief. When the flying motorcycle engine was started, a curtain of light surrounded the base of the vehicle. While floating in the air, it immediately dashed in the direction of the thief. Su Hao gritted his teeth, F***CKU. With your need for speed, you think nobody will be able to catch up to you. 3 shadows flashed through the street. The black shadow was leading in front, followed by an angry middle-aged man and finally, the flying motorcycle rode by Su Hao. Only after giving a chase for more than 10 minutes, at the bridge of Jianghe, Su Hao was finally able to catch up to them. Far away, he could see the thief and the middle-aged man were disputing with each other. 2 shadows were clashing together. Su Hao sped up, damn thief. Let's see where can you run. When the flying motorcycle was rushing towards them, Su Hao felt that something was wrong but could not tell what it was at that moment. Whump. The middle-aged man slumped to the ground. The thief immediately blinked away from him. Su Hao was dumbstruck when he saw the thief holding a blood-stained white dagger which was just pulled out from the middle-aged man's body. He then saw the thief taking out a blue-colored bottle. He sprinkled a few drops of the liquid onto the body of the middle-aged man. C. KSSH. The moment when the drops of liquid touched the body of the middle-aged man immediately corroded until nothing was left. This is... Watching this scene, Su Hao started to have a panic attack. This man was a no thief, he was a killer. A killer from a wandering organization. The news he watched stated that killers from wandering organizations would have the latest developed decomposing liquid, which could easily destroy any clues or evidence. Damn it! Xuanhuan cursed. Without any delay, he turned and had wanted to reverse his vehicle. Too bad at that time, the killer had already noticed his presence. He sneered and took out a silver pistol, aiming at Xuanhuan. Suddenly, Xuanhuan started trembling and his hair became erected. Shit! I'm going to die. Being stared at by the cold gaze of the killer, cold sweat began to appear. Unexpectedly, the compressed anger in Xuanhuan's heart began to explode. Xuanhuan, don't tell me that you are going to be bullied all the time. No, never. Noticing some spots of blood on the killer's chest, it was very clear that he was injured by the middle-aged man. The injury led him to have a somewhat slower movement. Somehow, anger could be seen from Xuanhuan's eyes. He was afraid to die. But even if he was going to die, he would at least drag the killer together to hell with him. Gotcha. Xuanhuan twisted his grip for maximum acceleration with firm resolution. Hong. A pool of energy from the engine of the motorcycle burst out. The speed of the motorcycle instantly reached the limit. A beam of light passed through the air and hit the killer. A laser shot out from the silver gun into Xuanhuan's direction. Too bad, the pathway was a bit crooked. The laser ray flew just beside Xuanhuan. But the high temperature of laser ray still caused a burn at his ear. Hong. The flying motorcycle hit the killer's chest. The killer was then knocked back into the metal containers nearby. Countless containers fell on top of him. Dull metal sounds could be heard. Xuanhuan, who had been accelerating, could no longer control the motorcycle anymore and was thrown off. He fell onto the ground and felt like he was eating a dog's shit. This degree of impact was not something he could handle. With wounds all over his body, Xuanhuan stood up. He was scared when he found out that despite being hit hard, the killer was still able to get himself out from the metal containers. WTF. These boxes weighed at least several tons. He survived that. How powerful is he? I can't let him live. An idea flashed through his mind. Xuanhuan picked up the silver gun next to him and aimed at the killer who had just came out from the boxes. An icy cold, red and horrified eyes stared at Xuanhuan. This nearly made him fumble and drop the gun. Go die. Xuanhuan closed both eyes and pressed the trigger. Pew. 2. A laser ray shot out and penetrated the body of the killer. He then took a few steps back, eyes filled with disbelief. He slowly raised his hands, covering the wound. Not much blood was leaking out, as the high temperatures cauterized the wound. As light disappeared from his eyes, he slowly took a few steps back, leaning against a metal container before sliding down. 3. He died. Xuanhuan had a sigh of relief. Feeling fear in his heart, the gun was thrown away from his hands. When he turned his body and had wanted to flee from the scene, he halted for a moment. Since he had scored 180 points in theoretical foundation, he has the advantage of knowing many information that others might not know. The pistol had his fingerprints. The middle-aged man had died and disappeared. The killer's body was still at the scene. He couldn't just leave like that. 4. Xuanhuan endured the disgusting feeling in his heart and searched the killer's corpse for the blue bottle which contained the decomposing liquid. C. KSSH. The body of the killer started to decompose slowly. Even the silver gun, flying motorcycle and all the other evidence at the scene were destroyed. He did not dare to leave anything behind. He was worried even the weapon was equipped with GPS or other tracking system. Finally, it ends. Xuanhuan was completely relieved. From the incident, besides the decomposing liquid, he also found a mysterious blue and black card under the killer's corpse. What item is this? Even the decomposing liquid can't destroy it. When the decomposing effect finished, the card caught his attention immediately. South, the blurry black card glowed and instantly, Xuanhuan's right hand was sucked into the ray. Immediately, his body disappeared from the scene without any trace. Wang. Xuanhuan felt a roar echoed in his mind. The surrounding scene became unreal. The Jianghe Bridge was upside down. His sight became very hazy. That feeling of being half awake half asleep felt like it happened for a long time but also felt like just a moment. The mysterious card was in the middle of Su Hao's mind, flashing continuously. If Su Hao was sober at that moment, he would be able to hear all sorts of information from the card itself. Discovering, model analysis, fusion, reconstruction, before the psychedelic light, Su Hao felt that he was under the effect of some kind of hallucinatory drug. Although he could not feel his true self, he felt very comfortable and relaxed. Shua. Su Hao's body was startled. He instantly woke up. Looking at the surroundings, there was no sign of people attacking him. When he had a look at himself, he did not seem to find anything abnormal. I wonder what kind of trick was that from the killer. I nearly fell for it. Su Hao shook his head and went to a corner where no one would notice him. Then, he quickly left the scene. 1 Yorisu. OMG. For every Dota player in SEA server. 2 Kai. This was Pucci, but that sounds like blades or sharp things, not lasers. 3 Kai. A laser ray shot out and penetrated the body of the killer. He then dropped onto the ground. Was the original line, I pretty much, hopefully, made it more interesting. Kai. As a side note, the reason I left it as laser ray rather than a beam was because I felt rays referred to a narrower line, whereas beam would be thicker. 4 Kai. That needs 180 in theoretical foundation. I thought that would be common sense. Remembering these points right after killing someone for the first time could be attributed to a smarter mind. Maybe. Also, he didn't take his phone back. Kai. As a side note, imagine if you accidentally touched it while you were alive. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.com, direct link in the description.